welcome to this video. If you have a tool on Relevance and you want to connect to that tool from Voiceflow and send over data and then send back data to Voiceflow, send back the output so that you can use it on Voiceflow, but you don't know how to do this, then this is the right video for you. I will explain to you and I will show you to you how you can make this API connection happen. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we have a code calculator here on Relevance. Let me click into it. It is for a landscaping business. It is expecting a service type and a garden size. And depending on the service type and the garden size, it will give you a price. This is what it is doing. We want to connect this tool to Voiceflow, and we want to be able to send over a service type and the garden size, and then calculate the price and use that price here on Voiceflow. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So what we have to do, we'll have to click to this use section and here head over to this API part, because we're going to have to create an API connection to this tool to be able to communicate with it. And if you have never seen something like this, it looks a little bit complicated and scary, but don't worry because it's a simple process. These are basically example code snippets that you can use. For example, if you are writing a Python code, then you might use this snippet. This is telling you how you can connect to this tool from Python. We will not use this script exactly, but what is contained in this script and some of these other details, we will use here on Voiceflow, because we're going to make a similar connection, but a lot of the programming technicalities will be hidden from us thanks to Voiceflow's drag and drop type of interface. Okay, so before we would get to the Voiceflow part, I just want to take a minute, and if you're not interested, then you can go scroll a little bit further in the video, but I would just want to take a minute to show you how you can connect to this from a Python terminal, because I think it's useful to not just copy paste blindly into Voiceflow these things, but also to understand like why are you doing a certain thing. So if you wanted to initiate an API connection from Python, then it would look like this. Basically, you would send a post request to the server, and the post request has three key parts. It has a start line, which contains the address where you want to connect to, this link, which is coming directly from here. You can see that it is pointing to our project, meaning that this is basically a webhook associated with our project. So whenever a data is sent to this particular webhook, it will kick off the processes associated with your Relevance app here. Think about it as the ear of this Relevance tool. It is always listening for incoming data. Okay, so this is what this API endpoint is. And then you have the header, which is basically metadata about this connection that you're initiating. You are telling that you will pass in JSON data and that you have this authorization key. So you're authorized to do this. The authorization key is coming from here, and the content type, you can grab it from here. And then the last part is the actual content, which is what you are going to send over to this tool. This function pairs key value pairs into JSON format. So this is what's happening here. I just used this information to construct this script. And now if I run this, it should give me an output. It should connect to the tool, giving the output, and print it to the terminal like this. Okay, so this is how it is working if you want to connect from Python. And we're going to do much the same thing from Voiceflow, but we don't have to deal with nearly as much technicalities. So a lot of these technicalities are hidden from us. So what we'll do from the developer section, we'll add an API call, and we're going to specify that we're going to do a post request. So this post request, this is the same thing that we had here to the request URL. We're going to grab this request URL. Again, this is the same URL that we had in the terminal. And for the header, we're going to add these two guys here. So we have a content type and the authorization, right? So let me just copy this. We're going to add here content type. And for the value, we're going to say application/JSON. So we're going to pass in JSON values. And then for the authorization, we're going to copy this authorization, and then we're going to pass in our API key. Here it is a placeholder, as you can see, but you can get it if you click this button. I'm not going to click it because I have it here. So I will just copy this authorization key and add it to here. And now we'll just have to pass in the actual data as the last step of this connection. So I will click raw data, and we can directly copy the structure without the brackets, only include the curly brackets. These are placeholders. So this is where you will pass in your data. Ideally, in a real project, you will pass in a variable. You will obtain the service type and the garden size in one way or another, probably through asking the user, and you will pass in the variable, and then you will use that variable to send over to your Relevance tool. But now I'm just going to type in something. So I'll say I want to get a code for tree trimming, for example, and my garden size is this. And now this will already work. It will send over data to our tool, right? So it will take this service type and garden size value, and it will send it over to the tool, and it will input these values here, and then it will run a calculation, and then will output something which will be sent back to this Relevance API connection to capture. But currently we're not capturing it, so that's the last step that we have to do. We'll click capture response. We'll create a new object for this called answer, and we will save it to a variable so that we can use it later. We'll say create variable and API response, and we'll create a variable API response, and then this response that we'll receive back from here will be captured in the API response variable. So now all we have to do, we can print this out as is. So we'll just use the simple message block, pass in the API response, and then if we run this automation, it should be able to print out some response that we received from the tool. Okay, so there you go. I could pass in different values. So if I wanted to say, right, so for example, I could say this, and then rerun the tool, and I should be able to get back a different response from the calculator corresponding to this different input. So this is how you connect Voiceflow to Relevance, send data to Relevance from Voiceflow, and then you use the data that you received from Relevance in Voiceflow. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I will create more videos, and hope I will see you in the next. Bye-bye.